Hey guys, today we're talking about 22s. I have here a Savage, which was my first 22, and I got it when I was 6. So, we're not really here to review this gun, because we're not into reviewing guns. I can't really move it around too much, because I have to hold the camera with one hand. But, I'm going to talk about the 22 as maybe a choice as a weapon for maybe a person who can only afford one gun. The reason why I would suggest a 22 is because if you can only afford one gun, then odds are you're going to be small game hunting, because if you can only afford one gun and you need it for hunting, you probably can't afford to be spending that on deer tags every year, because those are expensive and they grow in price every year. So while the 22 can be used to take down deer, it has before. Don't even bother posting that it can't be. I think the biggest animal that somebody's ever taken down with a 22 was like a moose. And you can see it all the time. People hunt alligators with 22s. If you're close enough and you put the shot right, you can kill anything. Okay? All it is, don't think of it as the caliber of the bullet, okay? It is a piece of metal flying at a high velocity, and it's going to poke a hole in something. And if you can poke a hole in something and hit something vital, it's going to kill it. But that doesn't mean that it should be. Just because something can be done doesn't mean that it should be done. So, anyways, yeah, the safety is off. The safety will not go on this one unless if it's cocked. So that's just an indicator that it is not cocked for you guys. And I did double check before I made this that this was unloaded. But we're getting off topic. So the 22 as a small game rifle. 22s can be bought really inexpensively, usually less than $200. Anything more than that is just too much. Now you're either going to want there are a few different kinds. There's some pump actions that they still make, or you can get older pump actions, but those are going to cost you a lot. And the newer pump actions are a bit expensive too. They make bolt actions, which are probably the least expensive. And they make semi-autos, and there are a few lever actions too. Pretty much any action that you can find in a regular rifle, they've made it into a 22, which is the main reason why a lot of training rifles were in 22. Now, if you're looking for a 22 and it's your first gun and you can only afford one gun, I would say either some kind of bolt action or a Ruger 1022. We have a Ruger 1022. It's in the safe right now, but as all of our guns are, but we just took this one out. It is a good gun, the Ruger 1022, as is a bolt action like this Savage. This one is a single shot. If you're only taking one gun, I would go with a magazine fed, but this was my first gun, so it is a single shot. And you're going to want to invest in a scope of some kind if you can, because it just makes so much of a bigger difference, especially on a Ruger 1022, which has a lower sight radius. You can get farther back sights for it, but those will probably end up costing you more than a scope would have anyways. You can get scopes really inexpensively. This one is, hang on 1 second, a Bushnell 3 to 7X custom 22. This one's very rare, this Bushnell, but my dad has a lot of scopes and we switch them out through guns whenever we need. And this one needed a scope, so we put it on there. Another thing you could put on there is an inexpensive red dot. That might be good for close range small game hunting. But on your 1022, you're going to want a scope. You can get inexpensive Weavers, or you can get a generic scope at Dunham's for around $30. Another good place to look is a gun show. You can get a scope for around $10, depending on who's selling it. I've gotten scopes for free, and literally I didn't ask for it for free. I was walking by this guy's thing, and he had a scope there for $10. He said, "Hey, you," and I looked over there, and he goes, "Take the scope." So I just took it. That's not this one though. I can show you it maybe in another video. But yeah, if you go to gun shows, you'll get good deals, especially since prices are negotiable. You could talk down maybe a $20 scope to $10, depending on what time of day it is. If it's the end of the day or the end of the weekend on a weekend gun sale and they haven't sold anything, chances are they're going to sell you their scope. Especially if it's just a lone scope, not attached to a gun, no sentimental value, they'll give it to you. That shouldn't even be a problem. Another thing you're going to worry about is, does it have a safety? They all should, but some older 22s, like training rifles and stuff, don't have safeties. Especially ones from Soviet satellites. Like, we have a few trainer rifles that I don't think have safeties. They do, but I mean, some of them do. I don't know. And you're gonna want one with a little bit of a stiffer trigger pull. I didn't put my finger on the trigger. Don't worry. You're gonna want one with a little bit of a stiffer trigger pull, especially if it's your only gun, because you don't want a gun that's gonna go off at any second, especially when you're hunting. And no matter what you do, do not tamper with your trigger mechanism, okay? If you want a lighter trigger or a heavier trigger, take it to a gunsmith. And always remember the 4 rules. Keep your finger off the trigger until you're ready to shoot. Do not point a gun at anything that you're not willing to destroy. Know your target and what's behind it, and always assume that a gun is loaded, okay? If you want to slow it down, you can pause it in between them and catch them, or just look it up. 4 rules of guns, or 4 gun safety rules. Or take a hunter safety class. They'll drill that into your mind, as you can tell. But if you want a 22, if you want a first gun, I would recommend a 22. Those are my reasons. If you have any different reasons why you would want a 22, or maybe why a 22 wouldn't be the best choice, you can comment. Or if you just like how it's going, comment. Also, like this if you think it's good, or dislike it. I always like negative reinforcement. And subscribe. Have a good day.